Yeah, let's do this.
Sweet. Well, welcome everybody. A quick introduction. My name's Chris. I am part of the go-to-market team here at DuploCloud. Very excited for the opportunity to chat with Sam here about what DuploCloud is, what we're doing in the DevOps space, some of our insights into this really awesome industry. And then I'll pass it off to Cameron.
Okay,
My
good.
name's Cameron McDougall. My name's Cameron McDougall. I'm a technical marketing engineer here at DuploCloud, which basically means I'm a DevOps, MLOps engineer with bringing my expertise to our marketing side. Glad to be here.
Okay, thank you so much, guys. My name is Zaman, but I can go by Sam. It is my preferred name. My expertise is software development, but I work in the DevOps, data analytics, and automation as well. I'm very happy that I have both of you guys today from DuploCloud's two talented and professional engineers. I'm very happy that we can discuss on the what DuploCloud brings, what solution it brings to for the DevOps automation and these things. Well, before that, we go ahead. I, as a software developer, when I was searching for a tool to solve some of the challenges that I faced and the others faced, I found that DuploCloud is one of the best tool in the market. As a software developer, always that is and that was a big challenge for me when I was developing application from my side and when I was trying to deploy the application to the cloud. It was taking lots of time of mine to configure those things, to manage, provision resources, like for example, on AWS. That was a big headache for me. I was looking for a tool to solve this kind of problems for me. I mean, to provision the resources for me, configure the resources for me based on the standards, standards. It do all the things on the cloud side while I was trying to focus, or I wanted trying to focus on the development side. So today I'm really happy that I have two of you guys, and we are going to talk about a platform. If we say DuploCloud as a platform, as a service, or a tool, or a solution for a big challenge in automation or in DevOps. We will be discussing on the three, topics related to DuploClouds. One, what DuploClouds brings, what solutions brings for DevOps engineers. Second, what solution brings it for AI or machine learning in the cloud side. And third, what is the purpose or solution of the cloud for the businesses? For the startups and for the mid-sized companies. If you want to talk about DuploCloud a little bit, it's okay. Otherwise, we will be discussing those things in the topics.
Yeah, I was gonna start with doing an introduction to DuploCloud, but because as part of the agenda here, Sam, you had mentioned
Sure.
about talking more on the business and on the sort of like commercial like needs and reasons for it. Maybe that is where I can jump in more. But from like a technical perspective, I think Cameron is much more suited than I am on talking about why DuploCloud, what are we bringing technically to the marketplace. So
Sure.
I'll leave it to you, Cameron.
Sure. Yeah. What do we want to start with? What's the first question?
Well, the first question is that what is the reason how it was created? Of course, whenever a platform is coming to the market, a solution is coming, it is based on a problem. So, what problem, or based on which challenges or which problem you guys created DuploCloud or brought it into the market for the businesses, for the developers, and for the DevOps engineers?
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, if you know about our founding story as well, feel free to chime in. Our founder Venkat, he's the CEO today and leading the charge, and he was working on the Azure team at Microsoft Azure and started seeing the need for a way to manage the complexity of DevOps and CloudOps. And so he started building out this dashboard, which ended up being a very early IDP, an internal developer platform, which is a tool, a website, a portal to manage DevOps, CloudOps infrastructure, and all that. And so he saw that need to create compliant infrastructure to not take shortcuts because, of course, we're doing a lot of the groundwork, but an easy way for developers to be able to click, create infrastructure, and manage what for them is a very complex. They're very good at code, and then there are DevOps and MLOps engineers that are very good at the DevOps side. So they don't have to worry about those complexities so much. They focus on what they're good at, and that's the code. So that's how DevOps. Sorry, that's how DuploCloud came about. We didn't invent DevOps, unfortunately, but that's how DuploCloud came about, and it's evolved into something really amazing. We've been adding AI tools to the portal recently and looking to really satisfy that niche in the market where startups that are moving quickly, intermediate sized companies that have more complex DevOps needs as well can focus on what they do best and will take on the complex DevOps work. No sweat off anybody else's back except ours.
Okay, that's really perfect, is well explained. The question that I know that you explained those things very well, but to answer this question, I mean directly, I, as a software developer, my question is that why I should go with the DuploCloud instead of using Terraform directly or using, for example, AWS directly, while I can provision the services by a tool like Terraform or directly from console of a provider like AWS. So what
Yeah.
makes DuploCloud different from those tools which are already available?
So one of the things about DevOps and CloudOps is that there are a lot of cookie cutter things that people do over and over again, whether that's a serverless architecture or an application in Kubernetes. A lot of these things really are the same over and over again, and they can be quite complex to create from scratch. But you don't need to reinvent the wheel for most of these applications until you get to a really advanced level. And so what DuploCloud does is it eliminates the need to create for every single company to create this infrastructure from scratch. We have the blueprints. We're able to adapt those, but these blueprints that we give are fully compliant, whether you're talking about NIST or SOC 2, GDPR, all of the above. We have experience with most, I think, compliance frameworks out there. And so when you click in the DuploCloud portal to create some sort of infrastructure, whether that's a container or a VM, a VPC, then that comes compliant. And we've done the hard work of, we've made it through the bumps and bruises of creating new infrastructure from scratch. And so a lot of times the choice will be between hiring a DevOps engineer or an additional DevOps engineer and hiring DuploCloud. And we come in for a much more effective price. And we come with a lot of experience behind us. And additionally, that comes with, if you have questions about making a data pipeline or deploying an AI architecture, we have a wide variety of people, CI/CD, you just go down the list and you name it, anything that's dev or cloud ops, we have that expertise and we'll bring people on to help you out, answer questions, build things out as needed. So basically, to put it in a nutshell, DuploCloud has done the legwork and we've made like cookie cutter blueprints for that cloud infrastructure. So, instead of having to write it all out in Terraform, you can click in our portal. You can also manage the portal with Terraform. So lots of options there. We cut out 90+% of the complexity at least. So
Okay, that is perfect. On the website of DuploCloud, there is a term, and it says that we are providing the solutions as no code or low code. What this term means for the people who are not having, technical knowledge of coding, or for the person who are having technical coding, or knowledge or experience of coding. So, could you please explain this term a little bit more?
yeah, absolutely. So it's not low code in the sense of we make the application. The application itself, we don't typically touch. If a customer has questions, we'll do our best to help out, but we typically don't touch the customer's code. But it's low code to no code in a sense of the cloud aspect of it. So we don't do the application side, but we do the cloud side. And so in that sense, our portal is no code or low code. If you'd like to use Terraform or do API calls to our platform, you can do it that way. But the portal itself is designed to be able to create cloud infrastructure for your application without touching the code. And so we worry about all of that complex API stuff. We talk directly to the cloud API, whether that's AWS, Azure, GCP. We take care of all of that. And so you don't have to worry about coding your Terraform or doing AWS commands unless you'd like to, of course. We don't remove the ability to do the complex stuff. We just eliminate the need to do that.
Okay, does it generate a Terraform code, or a person should write the Terraform code behind, or it is not needed a lot at all?
It's not needed at all, but if a customer does prefer using Terraform, then the portal will generate the Terraform that you need to manage either the infrastructure in the portal, or push comes to shove, you leave us someday, then we'll generate that Terraform for you to, part ways happily.
Okay, good. Before going ahead, so in the DevOps side, under the DevOps section, one of the needs of the market is microservices application, and I see that lots of things are focused on in DuploCloud on how it managed the microservices applications, specifically Kubernetes and the clusters inside the Kubernetes. So the question comes that how does it manage the clusters? Like it is managing those things on AWS or Azure or GCP, or there is a section in DuploCloud which is managing all those things in a single platform, like including the clusters, the containers, the pods, and those things.
No, so we use EKS for Amazon, GKE for Google, or I'm not
AKS
familiar myself with
AKS or Azure.
AKS. Yeah, whatever letters you want to throw in that, all the product name soup out there. But yeah,
Exactly.
we have a team. So if you're our client, then we have a team that manages those clusters for you, whether that's cluster upgrades or otherwise errors that are going on. So we have 24/7 support, and we take care of a lot of the things like that behind the scenes when it comes to a new EKS version or any Kubernetes version that's released. Anything that the cloud throws at you, providers have their own little nuances and quirks. So if, they come out with some sort of nuance or quirk, then we'll take care of it for you. So we keep those clusters alive. We've got engineers working around the clock, keeping everything alive. So
yeah. As a final question in the DevOps section, let's talk about the scenario. I, as a developer, develop an application. Now it is time to deploy on the cloud. What things are my responsibility, and what are the DuploCloud responsibility?
Oh, we have a really cool graphic that we made for this. We take on essentially anything that's outside of the application. So we take on security. We have SIEM that we provide as well. We have a lot of security tools around that. When it comes to compliance, we have standards, dashboards to track compliance controls and all of that. Basically, anything that relates to the cloud is something that we take on. Anything that relates to the application, the customer takes on. So, customer code, obviously they're the ones that are touching that. That's their baby, and we're here to help out with that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you so much. The next section is that, so these were the things that we have discussed about the solutions, that what solution it brings for a DevOps engineer. Now, as a machine learning engineer or as AI engineer, so my question is that what solution it brings to a machine learning engineer. Let's suppose I want to give you a scenario. I, as a machine learning engineer, developed a model, and of course, part of the responsibilities and part of the control is is being handled by a cloud provider, like for example, by AWS, Azure, or GCP. I develop my application and want to deploy my application into AWS. So, of course, it is an application and it comes under a normal application as well, but most of the times, managing the resources, managing the cloud section of this kind of application is very difficult. Do you have any experience or did you have any client which are having this kind of services and you handle the situation?
Yeah, absolutely. When push comes to shove, at the end of the day, machine learning applications are very similar to traditional
Exactly.
applications in the sense of CI/CD
Mhm.
and all of that. I actually did check with our teams today, and uh, a lot of customers will come with varying uh, managed services, or they host things themselves. So take AWS or Amazon SageMaker. I don't know if it's,
Mhm.
you never know with these things, one of
That's
the two. And then we have Bedrock. You have then all the way down to the customized. They have their own pipelines in like Airflow or Kubeflow or whatever it is that they're using. We've done, or we do both, and so we'll work with those managed services within AWS for machine learning, and we'll work with those. Like actually, it's very easy within the portal to deploy a new Airflow instance, or we so basically, yeah, we do it all, and we tailor things to the customer's needs. If the customer has any questions about how to build the architecture, they have this really cool application that runs on their laptop only, and they want to put it in the cloud, then we have data teams and MLOps teams that will build out that architecture, CI/CD, and all of that. So, it is different, but it's really not. And so, yeah, we do have that expertise. And however you prefer to move forward, we'll work with you on that. So,
yeah, that's completely right. I know that it is so when we're talking about the machine learning and AI, so in the infrastructure side, at the end of the day, it is under the category of normal software development, but it is much heavier than the normal software development because it needs lots of administration, control, monitoring, and those things on the cloud side. So that's right, of course. Um,
One more
and
thing I'll
Chris,
Yeah, one more thing I'll add, Sam, specifically on the AI ML piece, there's two pieces that specific to this particular industry that you might find interesting. So with AI ML, obviously, because GPU workloads are going to be a big piece of it, whether
exactly.
you're training LLMs or whatnot, but GPU costs are typically very expensive on the cloud. And so, especially for startups, which is the market segment that we work with primarily, being able to really optimize that is a big concern. They need to use the GPU resources, but they want to make sure that if they are being paid, like if they're being charged for them, that they're utilizing them properly. And with our automation platform, we can ensure that sort of cloud cost optimization piece. So to make sure that every dollar that they're spending on these GPU, services are being fully utilized, and they're not, just spending money and not
Mhm.
using that. So that's another piece that DuploCloud has been able to help our clients with as well.
Okay, sure. As part of the DevOps side, I have seen, please correct me if I'm wrong. So when I was checking DuploClouds, I could see that lots of things are just in one platform under one category, or in a one page. One of the things and the headache that I was facing when I was working with a cloud, it was that, like for example, when I was deploying my application on AWS, first I had to create an IAM user and then creating provisioning EC2, and then in the networking side, security groups and load balancer, configuring the ports, all those things, configuring or creating Route 53 for those things, and creating databases. So, lots of things were in different sections. And that was very, very difficult for me to track all those things, that what services are created, what solutions are provided, what configurations are done. So is that correct, that DuploCloud bringing all the solutions and the services in just one platform and makes tracking more easier, makes tracking the logging more easier, compared to the native clouds itself. So is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. We talk a lot about having a single pane of glass, which I think is one of the biggest pain points of DevOps engineers themselves throughout. I mean, you look in the AWS console and things are so what's the word for that? Just like everyone, like you said, one piece here, one piece there, and it's the same thing. And so what we try to do is unify all of that. So whether that's observability tools, where we've brought a lot of different observability tools themselves together into the same portal, whether that's a SIEM, standards dashboard, all of your cloud controls. So if you want to create a VM, then you do it just a couple clicks away from the same place that you see the logs from that VM, and it's easy to get back and forth between one and the other. So yeah, that I would say that's one of the bigger pain points of DevOps engineers that we address. Absolutely.
Good.
And to that point, you were talking about IAM. When it comes to like IAM credentials, one of the biggest underrated features of the DuploCloud platform is the just-in-time access. So instead of using IAM credentials, we have a CLI tool. It's DuploCTL, and it will get just-in-time access to, with least privileges, to what you're working on in that moment. And so you don't have to worry about IAM credentials. You don't have to worry about 365-day-old IAM credentials that somebody might, sneak off of your machine somehow. Everything is in the moment, and it's just least privilege down into a nutshell. You can get the admin access if you need to. If you need to get into the AWS console as an administrator, of course you can, but we make the rest of it really easy to do. So.
Excellent. We have talked enough about the technical side. The solutions that DuploCloud brings for the developers, for the DevOps engineers, for security engineers, for automation engineers. So these were the technical side of the things. Let's talk about the final section, which is for the businesses. So in a very top level, the question is that what is the benefit of DuploCloud for businesses? Like, for example, for me, as a startup company, as a mid-sized company, or as a person who is going to start the businesses, but have no idea how to manage the things on the cloud side. So the question is, like, let's suppose that I am a startup company. I have a startup company, and now it is the time for me to choose my team in the DevOps side. So the question come to you is that, what is your response to me? How do you convince me to select DuploCloud instead of going to build an in-house DevOps or make an expertise inside the company?
Yeah, and I'll kind of handle this and into this question, and it's a great question. It's a question that every startup eventually needs to address,
Exactly.
right? And so typically what we've seen is that you have three main roads, right? One, you go the traditional route, you hire an internal DevOps engineer, and then you lay that on them, and it's their responsibility now to handle that moving forward. There's pros and cons to that, and we can go into each of those. The second option is to hire an external consultant, right? A little bit lower cost because they're only working part-time for you, but you can save some cost there. And the third, and then sort of a newer approach, is to utilize a service/platform like DuploCloud. Now, with regards to why DuploCloud over internal team, especially at a startup stage, I would say on the biggest benefit of that is really comes down to cost. The average salary for a DevOps engineer, at least in America, is about 150 to 200K. And this could be a junior to like an intermediate, not even talking about a senior DevOps engineer. DuploCloud, including the platform and the attached services arm, is a fraction of that cost. The other piece of the hiring puzzle that a lot of people don't think about is the actual timeline it takes to bring on a DevOps engineer, to ramp them up, and then also the retention of that DevOps engineer. How long will they actually stay with your company? And if they should go, all their knowledge and their expertise and what they know about your backend infrastructure has now left with them. And there have been instances where we've spoken to companies where they've kind of been left in the dark because the DevOps engineers decided to pursue a new opportunity or for whatever reason. With a platform like DuploCloud, the ramp time is short. Our team is day in, day out onboarding new clients. We do this as part of our everyday bread and butter. So we know exactly what it takes to take a company's current infrastructure and migrate it into that Duplo way. Also, all the work that we do will forever stay with the company. It's not a person that is, just in their brain, in their, experience of handling this. All the work we do is transparent. It's done by the platform. Everything is logged, and you're not at the, at the will of a particular person's retention to ensure that your architecture is fully up and running. And because we have dedicated resources, engineers that are part of that service part of our actual cost of the platform, you're essentially getting an extension. You are getting, in the sense, DevOps engineers, but again, for a fraction of the cost of actually hiring somebody in-house.
Okay, good. That's excellent. Just an optional question in this section. Do you have any case study as an example? But I said it's optional because it might be a privacy issue for a company. Do you want to name a client which you implemented as a success story, the DuploCloud for them?
Yeah, no, 100%. Fortunately, we have a number of very happy clients that have been willing to share their success stories with us. And if you go onto the DuploCloud website, we have a number of these. The one that I wanted to highlight is actually a company called Authorium. They are a platform that works very closely with government agencies. And so security and compliance for them is a big piece of it. They need it beyond just SOC 2 and your typical security frameworks. They need it at that higher level, that StateRAMP and FedRAMP compliance. And they originally came to DuploCloud because they were struggling with that hiring piece. Their DevOps needs were scaling beyond their current team's capabilities and capacity, but they were struggling to find people and talent with the expertise to manage DevOps at the level of StateRAMP and FedRAMP. And so they came looking for a solution with DuploCloud, and we were able to get them, migrated into that DuploCloud infrastructure very quickly. We were able to provide that expertise, hands-on support to get them StateRAMP, FedRAMP, SOC 2 certified in a fraction of the time that it would have taken them otherwise. And beyond that, they had various migration and modernization efforts that they were looking to tackle as well, like from containerization to ensuring moving towards infrastructure as code, setting up new pipelines. These are all efforts and projects that DuploCloud does for our clients, and we don't charge time and material for that. And so that was a very strong success story for us. And this is just one of many that are on our website.
Okay, good. That's perfect. Just as a final question, so I know we have discussed a lot about what solution it brings for the startups, but for the medium-sized company, let's suppose that a company which is having their own team, software development, of course, DevOps, a team of DevOps engineers, they have their own expertise and they're working and everything is working. But probably they're having some issue on the cost of the DevOps side. We know that the DevOps engineers are very expensive to hire. The people, talented people with a high expertise. So how do you convince those kind of companies that choose or reduce at least the number of engineers and instead go with you and take solutions from you?
Yeah, fantastic question. Even for mid-sized companies that might have one or two, maybe a larger team of DevOps engineers, what we found is that as the complexities and the development team of a organization grows, those DevOps needs typically will scale linearly, right? The more developers you have, the more DevOps are needed to support that. And it becomes unsustainable at some point. And one solution to that is utilizing a platform that allows the existing DevOps team to continue being able to manage the growing needs without needing to increase headcount. And so DuploCloud really is a tool at its core, and just like a hammer, just like a saw, it's going to empower the users to be able to do more with less. So just because a team might have a DevOps team already, there's still tremendous value that we can bring, whether it's on just creating automation. So a lot of those very tedious tasks like managing IAM roles, managing security groups, writing Terraform code, that can be offloaded to our team so that the internal DevOps team can focus on more impactful priorities. But there's also that security and compliance side. Many DevOps teams and engineers are trained in regards to DevOps, but are not necessarily security engineers. So in the realm of looking at SOC 2, in the realm of looking at GDPR, maybe if they're in the health industry, it's HIPAA, maybe it's PCI or even fintech. These are typically beyond the scope of their education or their experience. And DuploCloud can help bring that piece of automation to the puzzle so that they don't need to go and learn a whole new, side of engineering, or they don't need to bring on like an additional new security engineer to handle that responsibility or those frameworks or those audits.
Okay, thank you so much. Guys, just to summarize our session, we have talked about everything, including the details, and we say that DuploCloud is a platform, is a DevOps platform as a service, which is providing solutions for the DevOps, for the security, for the automation, and overall for the cloud side of the application development, for the application to be hosted. So we talked about what solutions it can bring for DevOps engineer. We talked about the solution that it can bring for the software developers overall, including the machine learning and AI engineers. And also we have talked about the solutions and the facilities that it brings for the startup companies and medium-sized companies. And so from my perspective as a person who worked as a software developer for years and years and faced with the challenges, and I've seen the others who are facing with the challenges and faced with those complexities, I think it is a very fantastic and great tool. Do you want to add anything to these things that we have discussed and I have summarized?
Yeah, one thing I'll ask, and I think it's a very nice summary and an analogy of exactly why and what DuploCloud is. If you think about your cloud providers as like Home Depot, right? And you as an engineer, Sam, you want to build a home. So you go to Home Depot and you've got this grand vision of your house, but it's very overwhelming. Anyone who's ever walked into Home Depot has probably felt like there's shelves and shelves of woodwork and tools and whatnot, but it's all there. And AWS is kind of like that, or GCP or Azure. Everything you need to build the largest enterprise companies in the world, it's all there for you to use. Where DuploCloud is helpful is we're kind of like the folks there, the specialists there, the people that you can call on to give you that guide, right? If you need to build a deck to start, maybe you need to build up your drywall, we can give you the best recommendation of tools. We can help actually build those for you, at least walk you through that. And so DuploCloud is there within that ecosystem of Home Depot in the sense of AWS, GCP, or Azure to act as a conduit, abstract away those complexities, and get you start building that dream home, whatever it may look like.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Sam.
Yeah.